Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
This week we're covering 1987's The Kindred.
Burn the journals! The Anthony journals! Burn them!
A series of unspeakable disasters. All linked to a mysterious experiment.
Did she have any other children? She mentioned someone named Anthony.
Dangerously close to home.
It wasn't a rabid dog.
It's absolutely amazing. Just amazing.
It's a him. It's a him. It was born in the house.
A creation that destroys in order to evolve.
It's part of your heart, part of your mind, part of your soul.
He's part of your imagination, you understand?
Academy Award winners Rod Steiger and Kim Hunter star in The Kindred, exclusively from Vestron Video.
That's your brother, do you understand that? It was a mistake!
I want to start off by saying that the special effects for this film are pretty good.
Yeah, they're like on par with like The Thing and some stuff like that, because they still hold up today. When you watch them, you watch this movie, you really don't see any flaws with the effects on it. Everything looks good.
No, I was like, oh shit. So I'm gonna tip my hat to Michael John McCracken, who
and
has
his son, who also worked on this, who's also named Michael John McCracken, or he's Michael Sean McCracken, but you know,
the McCrackens. Tip my hat to both of you, sirs, because the effects were pretty fucking fantastical. Like, I was like at parts like screaming because it was pretty wild.
Yeah, there's a lot of the really like kind of goopy, creepy creature effects in this that really, you know, these guys have worked on a lot of things. They worked on, they've done makeup for some stuff in the Phantasm movies, like in Phantasm 2. They've worked on Star Trek, and the son even worked recently on Black Adam. So he's still doing stuff to this day.
So yes, I can't even stress. It's worth the watch just for the effects.
Yeah, this is one that's kind of hard to find. I bought the Synapse release of it on Blu-ray. They'd released a really special edition of it last year, but it was one of those limited edition, 500 copies of it. It cost $100, and it was sold out in 2 seconds. So it was nice to actually get it, because this is one of the few that, like, you know, it was on VHS, but it never really made the jump to DVD as far as I ever saw. And this is one that just kind of fell through the cracks, because there's not a lot of like releases of this or anything, and then you don't see it even on like reruns and back on HBO in the day and that. You just didn't see this one. I'm not sure why. It's a perfectly good movie.
I know you're going to go through the cast.
Yes.
But I have to say that the son in the film, David Allen Brooks.
Yes.
He is like the 80s like heartthrob, but in a sense of like, this is the guy you would see. He has like that curly hair. There's just a look to him that you just are like, he's hot in like that 80s kind of way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And maybe like soap opera hot.
Yeah.
You know?
He would have been on the soap opera, and he would have been like the bad boy that came in to like mess with the straight-laced guy's girlfriend or wife or whatever.
Yes. Totally.
And he does have that kind of like, you know, like you said, soap opera look. Or he would be the 80s guy, he would be the good-looking guy, but he would be the bad guy that comes in to destroy the teen center. That he's like, these teens have got to go. He'd be kicking them out of the center, and they'd have to have a dance-off in order to raise enough money to stay.
This is the guy.
That's the guy. The rest of the cast, there's a lot of people you'd recognize in it. The first off, of course, is Rod Steiger. Plays one of the scientists in this. You'll know him from a ton of things. probably most prominently for the Oscar-winning In the Heat of the Night. There's also Kim Hunter, who's been in everything from A Streetcar Named Desire to playing Zira in the Planet of the Apes movies. She's one of the few people that made it back for every single one. And you also have Amanda Pays, who you'll recognize from the Max Headroom show, the 90s Flash show. She's on the 2000s Flash show as well. She had a lot of different parts in there. She was also on the X-Files. She played Mulder's ex-girlfriend, British government episode. And she had also tried out for the Scully part, which I could totally see her in. So yeah, those are the main cast members that you would recognize other than is it Jeffrey Allen or David Allen Brooks?
David
Allen Brooks, yeah. This was written and directed by Stephen Carpenter and Jeffrey Obrow, I think is how you say his name. Now, the Stephen Carpenter went on to create that TV show Grimm, which ran for like 5 or 6 seasons, I think. It went on for a long time. They also, together, they wrote and directed The Dorm That Dripped Blood, and they kind of paired up on a Dean Koontz adaptation called The Servants of Twilight, which I've actually seen, and is a pretty, there's a lot of Dean Koontz things out there that are terrible. This one's actually pretty good, and even if it wasn't based on the Dean Koontz thing, it's still a pretty decent movie. It's about a religious cult that shows up at this woman's house and tells her that her son's the Antichrist, and they're going to have to kill him. And it kind of goes crazy from there.
That's not a good knock on the door.
No, it's not.
I think it's a milkman into the fucking people
yeah, it's
coming
the
out to
fucking
get your
religious
kid.
cult. And also, who worked on this film, helped him out on the screenplay a little bit, was Joseph Stefano, who, of course, wrote the original screenplay for Psycho and worked on The Outer Limits for years. So it had some pretty good people working on this.
Grimm had 6 seasons.
6 seasons, okay.
And I love that show.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I knew it had 5 or 6. Because I saw the thing that was like 123 episodes. I figured that was probably about 5 or 6 seasons. Depends on how many they did each season.
Yeah, you were around the ballpark frame. That's around there. Well, I had never seen the film.
Yeah, like I said, it's one that kind of fell through the cracks. It just disappeared.
And I'm like, why? Like, why did this film disappear? It's pretty decent.
Yeah, I feel like this is one that needs to be rediscovered and kind of shown around. This would be a good one for Joe Bob to put on for people to see.
Yes, Joe Bob, we love you, and this should be part of The Last Dragon. Thank you.
So the plot on this one is, it starts off, you see a guy like...
Oh, wait. Hold on. I have to say, if anyone out there in the world has this movie, The Dripped Blood...
The Dorm That Dripped Blood?
The Dorm That Dripped Blood. We need to see this film. Maybe, I don't know. We need to see this film. Please find it. Send it to us. Tell us where to find it. We're desperately looking for it because I need to see it.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be pretty good. They've done a lot of things, but again, like, for some reason, this guy's stuff is not available. Either one of the things that they've worked on seem to be out there. The Dorm That Dripped Blood is not on any streaming service either. I think you can buy DVDs of it, but the last time I looked, they were kind of pricey. So
yeah, based on the amazing behind the scenes that this Blu-ray has, because it has pretty good content. They do discuss that it's because of the success of that film that got them to do The Kindred.
Yeah, they were able to. They got more money than they thought they were going to for it. They'd asked for like $350,000 to do this, and then got like almost $4 million, and that's why they went crazy with the effects, because they're like, "Oh my God, we actually got money." So I feel like these guys, if they can do that, they can put out a movie this good with 3.5, which even in the 80s was pretty low. Then they could probably do something really amazing if you gave them a huge budget,
Yeah. So, do you remember the first time you had seen the film?
I rented it back in the VHS days, and I don't think I saw all of it or if I did, it's been so long that I didn't remember it, because I didn't remember more than half of this.
So, John, the lead, the David Allen Brooks character, his mom is like kaput, right?
Well, his mom has been in a coma since she's been in some kind of an accident, and she finally wakes up from the coma. His mom is played by the Kim Hunter actor, sorry, blew that completely. And she wakes up and tells him, like, go to the house, and I forget the name of what name she said, Daniel or something was the name of the kid. She says this kid's name, and it's like, go to the house and destroy all the research about this, and if, he's there, destroy him. You're like, okay. So his mom has been like a famous scientist, and he's working at his own class, he teaches at a college, and he's got his own students and all this. So they go up there to try and find out what the mom is doing and look.
He's a geneticist.
Geneticist, yeah. And so is the mom. She's been doing that. As it turns out, she's been doing all these crazy genetic experiments up there.
Spoiler alert.
Yep. With, well, it's this old. So it doesn't take long to figure out the mom's doing crazy things up there. And she's been, at one point, she had worked with Rod Steiger, who happens to be like the dean of the college where her son is teaching. And they had worked together, but she had stopped working with him because he was pushing her to do more and more dangerous things. And he has his like crazy collection of like zombies or like mutant people in a cage underneath the college that no one seems to know about. Like, I feel like the college would probably know you have your little secret dungeon down there, but maybe that's like a special line item he passed. I don't know. But whatever it was, he's got his own little crazy thing down there because he's been getting bodies brought to him by the ambulance drivers for him to continue his experiments on. And the ambulance driver tries to squeeze him for more money, so he, of course, throws him right into the crazy pit of mutants immediately. Because I always love in the movies where you have a guy that, like, he knows that the scientist is doing evil things down in the basement and paying him to bring bodies in and all this. He decides it's a good idea to blackmail him. Like, I'm going to tell everyone what you do if you don't pay me more money, doctor. Oh, yes, of course. Well, please, just come through this unmarked door down into these dark stairs and we'll talk about it more. Really, guy? Really?
That's what you don't do.
No. That's like textbook, don't mess with it. It's like the one Batman movie where they explain to him, you're going to try and blackmail a guy who spends all of his night dressed up in body armor beating the crap out of people? Does that seem like a good plan to you?
No. Anthony's the brother's name.
Anthony.
I'm going to tell you. When your mother, okay, is on her literal deathbed and she's having a fit and she's telling you, destroy the journals, find your brother and destroy him, okay? Your first thing after she's dead, you put the dirt over the casket, like, and assemble assistants, let's go to my house and find these books. Like, no, she just told you to destroy the journals. Like, what are you doing?
I know,
you idiot.
It's the curiosity. It's the Pandora's box. You got to know what's in there.
Yeah, and I know, fine, we don't have a movie if that happens, but it's just like, at that point, nothing good is going to come. I mean, she told you that it was a bad idea. Like, fine. And then also, let's assume, because it's the 80s, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint, like, ages. Let's just say the man was 35, even though he looks way older than that. He's 35 years old. You don't think that you would know that you had a brother?
Well,
maybe, at some point, I guess. I don't know.
There's a little secret about the brother later on that's not technically his brother.
Okay, well...
it is and it isn't.
Okay, yes.
Spoiler alert.
No, don't say what it is, but yes, just watch the movie. This is a film that I feel like I don't want to, like, really go out, even though it's from 1987. Because, like you had mentioned before, it is a hard find. It wasn't released in, formats that it's like, it's a treasure. Yeah. And this treasure should be kept in secret.
So yeah, I encourage you to go watch this. I won't spoil anything too bad about it. I mean, from the cover art, there's going to be evil experiments going on because you got a creepy looking monster and a baby bottle on the cover.
It's the best.
So yeah, that's a great cover for it. Lets you know right off the bat some creepy shit's going to be happening. And yeah, but there were some things we didn't want to mention. Like, I don't know, like, about everyone else, but if I'm at my mother's funeral and I walk away and a strange woman I've never seen before in my life just walks up to me and is like, "Hi, I was a big fan of your mother's. I'm going to lean in very close to you and talk to you and touch your arm, make a lot of eye contact and be like, so do you need any help going up to your house, checking out those journals? You want some help? Do you? I would be immediately suspicious of that.
Also, she's British, or she has some kind of accent.
Yeah, she's British.
And it's not a bad thing, but if we're going to go to Star Wars, like, they wanted, the
British people were the evil people.
Exactly. So we got Star Wars thing going on. I know that she is going to be evil. Boom.
Something's going to happen with her. She's not going to be quite right. And then I love this. This is what you had mentioned earlier before we recorded. When she shows up to the house, she just shows up in the middle of the night, lets herself in, makes herself breakfast.
Oh no, not before she opens the door and watches the people sleeping in the bed, booty naked. Like, the man booty naked. We know this because there was a love scene that, you know, cut to, like, black. So, you know, they did it. You know, that was, like, how they used to tell you back in the day that... I guess they still use that tactic today. That's how you know people fucked. When there's, like, they in the bed, they rolling around.
Out, and then it goes to black.
Black, boom. And then they come back and they're in the bed and they're sleeping.
They're in that special L-shaped sheets that goes below his chest and then, like, makes an L... and goes up and covers up the top of her body. They have that special cut sheet that they all have in the movies.
Yes. That's how you know. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where they get those sheets, but I've never seen them in real life. Because I love how it's always just perfectly balanced. It goes all the way up past her breasts, but below his navel. So that way he can be shirtless and it's fine. But we don't get to see anything on her.
I'm going to tell you that I'm going to need a realistic movie where that scene... either the dick is showing and the titties are covered, or the dick is not shown and the titties are uncovered. We're gonna need, or maybe two movies. One covers one, the other one covers the other. I don't care how it happens.
But those
it just
are
needs to happen.
Universally bought. It's like when the people buy groceries and they always have like a fucking
celery stick,
and a loaf of French bread sticking out of the top of it that they never fucking eat. They always just sit on the counter and walk away. So what the fuck did they even bother to buy anything for?
They're making a sandwich.
I guess so. Well, it's like the thing they always talk about, too, that when people go into a bar, they always just order beer. Like, no one just goes to a bar and just says beer. Because the first thing they're going to do is, like, do you want a bottle, a can, a draft? Do
you want this foo-foo-ass beer? Do you want local beer? Do you want dark? Do you want ale?
Do you want Milwaukee's best?
Cider?
Or, like, what do you want? No one just orders beer and they just hand you a drink. Unless you're in, like, the redneck bar where it's like, what do you have to drink? We got beer. Okay, I guess I'll have a beer.
Yeah, and then you look over in the keg, it just says beer.
Yeah, it's like a white bottle or something. Like the white keg with just beer written on it. But yeah, other than that, you know, the typical movie cliches.
How about the freaking EMT guy, okay, that literally delivers a line. And this is my favorite thing. And one breath, he's like, don't trust a man that has the eyes of a killer. And then he proceeded... to let the doctor lead him into the dark room. The doctor should have known.
That's what I'm saying.
Hello? Like, what are you doing? That was a dumb move on his part.
Because, you mean the EMT should have known?
Oh, the EMT should have known, yeah. Because it doesn't end well for the EMT.
Yeah, like I said, he goes down to the basement dungeon that they have in all these mad scientist laboratories.
It's like, hello, EMT, you just said don't trust a man that has the eyes of a killer. This doctor has the eyes of a killer. He actually has the eyes of a psycho.
Yeah. So this is one of those movies where you get a lot of, like, A-list actors. Like, you know, Rod Steiger's been in an Academy Award-winning movies. I think he won the Academy Award for Best Actor for In the Heat of the Night. And you get him in there. Kim Hunter, you know, yeah, she was in the Planet of the Apes. But she was also in, like, you know, Streetcar Named Desire and a lot of other, you know, really high caliber productions. So when they're in this movie, they're not just phoning it in. They bring it all, you know. They give 110% on there.
They do. There's one character. This character and this person exists, you know, it's so funny. Somewhere, this person is so dedicated that he did not want to talk to anyone, okay? He wrote his own, he recorded his question and answers, like his answers to the people's questions, like in that scene where he comes in with the boombox and he writes out like there's something wrong with his throat or whatever, and he has the answers. So like the guy would be like, "What's wrong with you, John?" And then he puts the boombox, he press play, and then it's the answer to like that question. And it's all in like the set order of like how the person, that's how dedicated he didn't want to talk to anybody. He's just like, I pre-recorded these fucking answers to these questions that I thought that you were going to ask me. And they're at the ready.
And then later on, we just forget all about that. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He's like, I can talk now. I choose to talk now. He just didn't want to talk at that point. But that the dedication, though, forget about that he had to record this the night before, okay? The boombox is an 80s boombox. This is not the little small one you would take to the beach. This is a fucking monstrous, like the fucking silver one that you see, you know?
Yeah.
Like the huge one. You have to put it over your shoulder. You gotta have some kind of muscle because this is heavy.
This was not like you're, grabbing your iPod or your Walkman and walking around with it. No, you were going to have one arm bigger than the other when you were done carrying this thing. I like they had on the Blu-ray, they had the interview with some of the people where they were talking about working with that Rod Steiger. He had the quote where he told them, like, look, when you tell me to do, this is paraphrasing it, but like basically like, you tell me to do these things and they seem like they're not going to work out, it doesn't seem good. Let me use my judgment on this because I'm the guy who they're going to remember this forever on. They're not going to remember you. They're going to see me make this mistake up here and remember it forever. They're going to forget about you. I'm the one that's going to take the blame for all this shit if it goes bad. So let me do how I want to do and try and make this better. So then the blame is on, it's my fault, not yours.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, okay, what am I going to do? Argue with the Oscar winning guy?
Yeah, that's definitely, it's always good. And, there's a lot of faults in films nowadays for multiple reasons, but it's good when there is a seasoned cast mixed in with newbies.
Yeah.
Because it evens it out. Because if you have all newbies, then it's going to be really terrible. Like several movies that we tried to watch this week that we half started, didn't finish because the acting was just, and they're old movies, but I mean, man, if we're saying the acting is bad, it's real bad because we've seen some turds.
Yeah, and this one, stands out from a lot of those 80s movies too, where I think that might have been the problem with it too, is that there's not really any sex scenes in it, and there's gore, but it's not any hardcore gore, It's a good movie, but it kind of, for coming out in 1987, that was the height of all the slashers, when there was lots of TNA, lots of blood and guts. This one, it's a good movie, it's got a good story, it's got great effects, but it's not very, sensational or flashy, No, there's not 90 people killed in this movie, and there's not people whipping off their shirt for gratuitous sex scenes.
Yeah, and it's mostly one location-ish.
Yeah.
They're
pretty much
there's
in the
like
house.
two. It's like a hospital house.
Yeah. And the hospital and the school they were teaching at were, even in the, the making of, we saw they were pretty much the same place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's kind of why it didn't do better, was because, this was the same year that, Dream Warriors was coming out, and,
it kind of gets buried.
Yeah, it kind of gets buried among those.
Well, it did get buried.
Yeah, I don't know if this got a big theatrical release or not, but I'd kind of be surprised if it did.
I would say, and this is not in, disrespect to the film, but I would say it would, for me, being it the first time that I had watched it, it felt very, high-end, made-for-TV film.
Yeah. Because, this is rated R, but if they had cut a little bit of the language out of it, it could have probably, even back then, passed for a PG-13.
I would have watched this as either or, but if this was a made-for-TV film, I would have been totally stoked. Because I would have been like, man, I fucking just saw a gem.
Yeah, and it's a great movie, but like you said, I do see where you're saying, this could have been a really good sci-fi production.
Hell yeah.
Because sci-fi's pulled off a few good movies here and there, so if you told me this was a really good sci-fi one, I'd be like, yeah, I can buy that.
Ooh, Sharknado 3, fucking masterpiece.
Back when they used to actually try to do something.
I would watch this again.
Yeah, it's good. And especially this Blu-ray's got a lot of great special features on it. I didn't get a chance to listen to the commentary that they do on it yet, but the behind-the-scenes stuff is all great. They have a lot of vintage stuff that they show from the time. It's always good to see when they're doing the effects live on set. I love that part of it. And they talk to all the people involved with it that are still around, and you get a good perspective on how they made it and how everybody was felt when they were doing it. It's a lot of good. They don't always go out of their way now to put a lot of content on these Blu-rays other than just the movie or a couple of trailers, but they went out of their way on this. It's got a lot of good information behind the scenes.
Yeah, the pacing's also pretty good in the film.
Yeah,
it's it starts off, we have, the intention, what, don't do this, and then they're in it, then it's action, boom, 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 and then the final act is that's where it's at.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's not one of those where like you feel the film and you're like, oh my goodness. Like there are so many other films that we've watched where there would be a scene that's similar to like the mom telling him, that could have lasted forever.
Yeah.
Like they could have, I mean, God, they could have gone in so many directions with that in a bad way to like make that long, because once the mom is out of the way, then it's literally a mystery.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, just the character just trying to figure out what's going on.
I do think it's funny that in Spain the title of this it was released as Transgen, which wouldn't fly now. But at the time they were making a totally different reference with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely one I think people should check out, and I hope this would be something I hope like Shudder would pick up, because it'd just be great to see a Joe Bob discussion of it and get people out there to see it, because it's just kind of buried out there and no one knows about it.
And then, I can't even imagine what Joe Bob would say about this, because I'm sure he definitely has some backstory, he has some thoughts, he has some shit that no one else knows, and that marvelous brain of his.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll pick this up, or someone will, and get it on, get it out to be a little more, seen by everyone. So I'm going to give this one, out of our 4 knives, I'm going to give it 3.5.
I concur. I also give it 3.5 knives. I can't even. 3.5 knives.
Yeah.
For pacing,
effects, acting.
It's
all good across the board.
The plot. I mean, is it flawless? No, of course it's not going to be flawless, but yeah, it's fun.
There's a few little like the standard horror movie cliches that they do with this. Like you said, if they just went up there and said, "Well, Mom told us to get rid of all this stuff and just burn the place down," there'd be no movie.
Exactly.
So yeah, you kind of have got to have some of those things, and
there's twists. There's 2 twists. You're like, oh, okay, I did not see that going there. They really took the whole like body horror.
Yeah.
I would put this under body horror.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that happen to people in this that are unpleasant. And that's why, you just can't... The digital effects will never pull off realistic body horror like this. I mean, they just don't, because it just looks so much better when you've got this stuff glued onto them. Like, I think you can use the CGI to enhance it. Like, you could pull off... If you erase, like, a seam or something that you could see.
Yeah, for sure.
But it just looks so much better when it's an actual... apparatus, it's an apparatus that's making the thing pulse on their body, or it's it's an actual hand covered in something. You just can't replicate that with CGI.
I'm not one for like the after whatever scenes, the additional scenes.
Oh, the
extras. Sorry, I literally lost the word. I'm not one for extras. It's because I'm just like on to like the next thing. But it was so interesting to watch the extras for these older films, just to see like it's an art, just to see like how they thought to do these things, and the practical side, because it wasn't as easy as just pressing a button,
Yeah.
It was so much more than that, and then seeing the interaction, and it's just all fascinating. Like the special the extras for this is really, really good.
Yeah, when you see the guy like laying down under the ground with the tentacles he's working and all that, it's like, nowadays it's just so fast. They just go, okay, CGI and a tentacle. Maybe there's a guy there with a stick poking someone so they get a reference point for it, but that's it. They're just going to cut everybody out from it,
I feel like it's better for the actor. It's like better for the actor to have, and obviously they still kind of do something when they do these green screens like you just mentioned, but it's not the same. It's not the same as having a stick. You're talking to a stick.
Yeah, it's like was it Sean Connery or one of them in that movie where he was the dragon, or Dennis Quaid, who ever played it, said like the whole movie he acted against a tennis ball hanging off a stick to look up at so he'd know where the eye line was. So that's a testament to that guy's acting ability when he can pull that off, you know? Because you've got to be a decent actor to make it convincing when you're talking to a tennis ball on a stick.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you can do even better when you have the live effects there. That's why I think all the stuff like in The Thing works so well, because those guys were actually kind of grossed out by what they were seeing,
Yeah.
They were freaked out by it, and that really comes across.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Kindred.
We're glad to be back now that we've all recovered from the Andromeda strain.
I'm going to tell you, I do not care to be sick anymore. I'm done with it, and I hope I'm never sick again.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
For both of us.
for the whole household. It was rough. It's been rough.
Everyone but the cats were sick, and they were no help to us.
They were no help. They didn't make any motherfucking soup. Okay? They didn't make any coffee. It's bullshit. All they did was just lay around
and complain that we weren't feeding them properly.
And I'm just like, you know what? I mean,
earn your keep, cat. Earn your keep.
For sure, earn your keep. Both of them. The one could have hopped on the other one's back, and they could have gone on the counter and made some coffee. I just feel like it's bullshit.
Yeah, but we're keeping them because we love them, even though they're little punks.
Yep,
and one is staring at us right now.
Well, I don't even know. It's the holidays. Happy holidays.
Yep, we were trying to find a holiday movie to cover, but it's hard to find one that's decent that we haven't already covered.
We have definitely covered a plethora of them.
Yeah.
We have. There's some that we haven't for multitude of reasons.
Mostly because some of them we've started them and they are just terrible.
They're really bad. I'm not going to name what they are, but they're not good. Yeah. And then there are ones that are just like Gremlins. I would love to do Gremlins. We've actually tried to do a Gremlins episode last year. That was actually going to be a video. But it just fell through. So maybe in the future, but it's been pretty rough. But definitely we are back, and we're happy to be back, and we missed you all out there in the world.
Thank you for sticking with us, and we'll be back sooner than later.
Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.